Hello everybody, my name is Melinda Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and today we are going to be making these treat bags using the For the Win stamp set. So here's the stamp set that we're going to be using, and then we're going to be using the all dressed up dies. If you can see that, and then I'll show you. I cut out kind of like a key for the dies because it's so hard to show people when you're just trying to show them a die and you don't actually get to see like the cut image. So we're going to do 2 of these live, and then I'm going to do one of a perfect parcel box too, just in case you don't have this particular die set, just to kind of give you an alternative idea. But okay, so this is what the all dressed up dies look like. This is part of the Best Dressed suite that is available in the mini catalog. So we're going to be cutting 2 of these to make this treat bag or box, just depending on what you want to think of it. So two of these make 1 box, and then because it's from Best Dressed, there's a fashion element, so that's why you're seeing buttons and buckles and shoes. This actually technically makes a purse or a backpack, but I kind of did like an alternate project with it. So the dies that I used with these particular treat bags were this one, the long piece, which would normally be the purse strap. We're using it for the football laces, and then these 2 for sentiments, to cut out sentiments. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of the dies from this set actually work really well with For the Win. So it kind of came together pretty nicely. I tend to do that a lot because For the Win doesn't have dies. At least I don't think they do. This is from the annual catalog. So you know, you just kind of gotta wing it. And of course, you know, the your circle punches and things will cut out all of the different sports, the balls, the baseball, the basketball, the soccer ball, the golf ball. I just fussy cut the footballs. That was no big deal. But anyway, we're going to be working with that today. So these are the 2 main pieces. And then let me just show you Perfect Parcel, which is also available in the annual catalog. I really like this box, and it's the same deal. I forgot to glue that down. It's the same deal where 2 of these make 1 box. And I don't know if I brought that box in here. Let me see if I can grab that real quick. So this is the Perfect Parcel box, and the way that that opens is like this. So it opens from the inside. So there's a good amount of room in there. I don't know if you can see that, but 2 of these make 1 of these. Okay, so we'll make 1 of those too. And as you can see, there are a lot of dies that come with this, and this is part of a bundle in the annual catalog, but I did not get the stamp set. I only got the die set, so that's one of the reasons why we'll be working with this. So I should have done this a week ago so that you would have had more time. But if you happen to have this stamp set on hand, if you are having a Super Bowl party or something, or if you have another sports set, or if you have future things coming up, when I posted this online today, people were coming up with so many different ideas as to what these could be used for, which was so cool. So favors for parties, and if you're the mom who has like snack day on the field, or they have a win, or there's a certain party, you know, you could use it for things like that too. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this. Oh, and let me just show you. So you can use different things to stuff inside there. These are things that we actually had here in the house, but you can see there's a good amount of room inside that that box. Now I wouldn't recommend that it be too heavy, but a little bag of peanuts, you know, something like that. Peanuts, popcorn, snack mix, Chex Mix, cookies, you know, something that's not going to be too heavy. And then if you were actually going to do like an actual gift, like if you were giving somebody a gift card, if this was going to be a little gift bag, then you could always put tissue paper. This tissue paper was left over from Christmas. So yeah, so anyway, they turned out really cute. and let's go ahead and make some. So the first thing we'll do is stamp. Now I will tell you that I did pre-cut a bunch of things just in the interest of time, but let me just walk you through what I did. So I used the Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to be coloring with the blends. So let me do that. So I took a poll on my Facebook page. I colored the footballs a bunch of different color brown to see which one everybody liked best, and the soft suede dark one. So that's what we'll use. That's what we'll use today. And I usually stamp a few of these just to see which one I like the best. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave this open because we're actually going to do a couple of other things too. So let me just show you with this stamp, there are a few different things that you can do. So on the treat bag, I only wanted it to say MVP. And the stamp, the actual stamp says birthday MVP. So people do this a couple of ways. Sometimes they will cut the stamp, so they'll actually separate the words birthday and MVP so that they can use them however they want. Or if you don't want to cut your stamp, which I would be nervous to do that, but I do understand it. I'm just going to put a Post-it on mine, or two, might be two Post-its for this particular one. And then that way we'll just get the MVP. This was another thing that I did a little bit differently because I actually assembled these. I was designing these and I assembled them last night. So I decided to post them on social media before I did the live, just because I knew there wasn't a lot of time and I wanted to kind of get the pictures out there. And it was surprising. I was actually like really inspired by posting this before I did the live of it, because people were really loving the project. So that was really cool to do. So anyway, I'm just going to stamp up I'm inking up my MVP, and I just want to make sure that the ink is there. So I bought this little table so that I could do these lives in a room with a closed door, and it moves a lot. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. Okay, so we have our MVP. I'm just going to cut this off because that's going to bother me. I can still salvage that MVP, but I would have to fussy cut around it. So go with this one, and then Go Team was another one. And the reason that I'm stamping these live is because I'm going to color these. Go Team, we didn't have to do anything special with. So here, a lot of the time, if I'm going to cut these out with a die, I will just kind of space it out and make sure that if I'm using a piece of scrap paper like this, that I'll have enough room around the image. Okay. And of course, I did use other things, which I'll show you. It's game day and everything, but I actually have some that I did in advance here. So I won't stamp them all. You get the idea. But I'll go through all these little pieces that I made because we're going to put some of these on the projects that we're making live. So with the coloring of this, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm pretty basic with coloring. And of course, you can go crazy with this. You could do team colors. I didn't want to use anything that was trademarked by the NFL. You can't do that. But, you know, if whatever you want to do, however you want to decorate your own treat bags, as long as you're not selling anything that is trademarked. But yeah, I was researching the teams that got into the Super Bowl, and I think they have the same colors. I don't know if I'm right about that or not, but they both looked like they were red and gold or red and yellow. So somebody will have to tell me, but I'm going to use the Dark Poppy Parade for MVP. And I'm just going to color this one solid color, but you could do gradient if you would want to. I am going to do gradient for the Go team. And then for the other one, what I did was I just did lightest to darkest. So we're going to do the light Daffodil Delight. And I'm just going to do the top portion of the letters. I'm going to grab the light Poppy Parade. Just kind of go right in the middle here. Okay. I'm going to take my dark Poppy Parade for the bottom. Okay, and then when I go back to do the blending, I'm going to use the dark Daffodil Delight and just kind of bring together the yellow and that light Poppy Parade. So the Daffodil Delight and the Poppy Parade, just blending it with the darker yellow or their darker Daffodil Delight. I have a very bad habit of just saying yellow or red when I should be telling you the actual names of the colors. Okay, so that's basically how these work, and then you put the dies down and you run them through. Color the footballs. So here's the light and here's the dark. I'll color one light just so that you can see the difference, because maybe you would like the light better. Let me just show you. I'm using the Stampin' Blends. This is soft suede. And I probably already said that, but I'll say it again. I'm not going to do any special shading. Just going to stick with one color. So just so you can kind of see the difference between the light and the dark. And I do agree with the people who voted for the soft suede dark that I thought it looked more like the traditional football. This looks more like a vintage football to me. Okay, so here's dark. I tried the Espresso and the Stampin' Right marker, and wow, that was so dark. That was like surprisingly dark. I thought that was going to be the one that I was going to want. It was not. Okay, and so here's the dark. Now the point of the Stampin' Blends is that they're alcohol-based markers, so they will blend beautifully if you want to mix your colors like here. But with the football, I don't really think. It all depends. It's all relative as to how fancy you want to go with your treat box, how much time you want to spend on it. Now, like I said, I already have some that are done. So let me get these out. So just so I can show you some of my pre-cut pieces here. My little button, I'll save that for later. Okay, so just wanted to show you the difference between leaving the words without the ink on this flag and then coloring the words and leaving the flag blank. But of course you could do two colors. however you would want. I'm not sure how many footballs I'm going to use today live, but we'll just set them over to the side. So here's one that I did that was gradient with color, red, and it's game day, just really basic, but gets to the point. So you could do that in your team colors. Go team, MVP. What is the other one? Oh, number one fan. So the number one fan stamp was another one that I blocked out with the Post-it. This one here. So this one just says number one fan, but in the actual, on the actual stamp, it says I'm your. So I just blocked this out too. Okay, so, and same thing, you could also cut it if you would want to cut it. And if you guys have any other ideas as to how to do that creatively, let me know. So let's go ahead and we're going to work with the easier one first. So let me just show you the difference between these two. I'm sorry to put my arm right in the camera. Remove the peanuts. Okay, so it's a very slight difference, but this is the Crumb Cake cardstock and the Whisper White cardstock. So this is what the Crumb Cake looks like when it hasn't been inked. But what I did was I took a sponge dauber, and I'm using a bigger dauber, a slightly bigger dauber. We have these fingertip ones that you can purchase through Stampin' Up, and these are really nice too, but I already had soft suede on this bigger dauber, so I just went with it. But I wanted to kind of age it a little bit. I just wanted it to look a little bit more like a football. So I'm going to just ink this, but it still would be fine if you didn't. So I just wanted to show you the difference. This is with a little bit of the soft suede, and this is just the Crumb Cake cardstock. So we'll go ahead and we'll ink this one that we're going to put together. Now here's one more thing that I wanted to mention. So these are die cuts. Now I think that I had my sandwich, we call it a sandwich when you run plates through a die cutting machine. I think I had it a little too much because I actually cut into this die a little bit. I noticed that. So if that happens to you, it's okay. I would just put a little bit of tape on the inside and nobody's going to know the difference. I wouldn't put anything extremely heavy in here. You know, you don't want to go crazy, but just something that will hold a snack, you know, make it cute, or a gift. So the top of the treat box is here where the little scallop piece is. And we're just going to connect this. I'm going to use my tear and tape to do that. And we're basically just going to do that 2 times until we adhere our box. But before I adhere the box together, I'm going to ink it. I'm doing this first because if I ink this and then put the adhesive on it, it will need a minute to dry. And I don't want to slow down. I don't want to slow down the live feed. Okay. I would use Snail. Well, you know what? Tear and tape is probably a good idea for these treat boxes or the treat bags, depending on what you want to call them. I can't decide. I feel like it's a little bit of both. Okay, so we just want to line up the stitched edge here and here. All right, so I'm going to get my soft suede ink. Here's the classic Stampin' Pad, soft suede. Okay. I'm just going to put this on a sheet that I've already been working with. Okay. So here, I'm just going to get some ink right on the dauber. Okay. And now I'm just going to start buffing it on so that I can basically age it just a little bit. And you can go as light or as dark as you want. Of course, you go too dark, you might as well just use soft suede cardstock. But funny story, I have been using my cardstock like crazy, and I'm out of so many different colors, and I'll show you in a minute. Well, let me show you now so that I don't forget to show you. But basically, I just want to get all of the edges where you know, you see all of these pieces, these flaps are hidden once you assemble it. So I only care about where the stitch parts are, which is what I'm going for here. But I just think it adds like that really nice aged look to it. Just gives it a little something. Now, if you're making 50 of these, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Unless you have a helper. In which case, go crazy. Okay. Okay, so necessity is the mother of invention, right? I did not realize I'm completely out of, I thought I ordered the early Espresso cardstock, but sure enough, I did not. So one side is the Espresso and the other side is Call Me Clover. So I actually did like tone on tone, and I thought it looked really cute. So you could do one piece in one color, another piece in another color, and it still comes out. I mean, I don't know if anybody would have even noticed that. And then on this one, let me just show you. I didn't even use the designer series paper on the panels. I just left them as the basic cardstock, but on this one, I did do the panels. So just to kind of give you an idea there. And this one, instead of being tucked in, is out. It reminds me of a French fry holder when it's out. And then this one has been tucked in. So you definitely have some variations that you can do there. Okay, so now I'm just going to put it all together. So before I do that, I'm going to put down my tear and tape. I just want to make sure that the adhesive is on the top part of the flap so that the inside of the treat box isn't sticky. And now I'm just going to bend this a little bit. And then I'm going to, so like if you're going to reinforce just with regular tape or packing tape or whatever you have, I'm going to put it on these pieces right here because that's where I noticed that my indent was cut a little too much. So I had too much pressure on the plates when I was cutting. So that was crafter error. I was cutting in bulk, so I had cut a bunch of pieces before I realized what was happening. Okay. So I'm just going to take this side and line it up. That looks good. All right, and then for that one, let me just grab one more piece. Okay. So we have our box. I'm just gonna kind of squeeze that shut. All right, and then for our laces, we have this piece right here. I'm gonna get my little mini cutter. This mini cutter is available if you purchase the starter kit. There's a great deal on the starter kit, especially during Sale-a-Bration, which runs through March 31st. And I'm not going to go crazy with all that information at this moment, but one of the perks is some free product in addition to the $125 worth of product of your choice for $99. So that's a really nice, really nice deal. All right, so with the laces, I'm just going to cut this right here. So that's 2.5. And this time, instead of doing 4 laces, I'm just going to do 3. And I'm going to cut that one a little bit shorter. So it's probably still too big. Let's do this. Yeah, that looks good. I'd let you be the judge. I'm noticing that I'm having a problem cutting and talking at the same time. Does this happen to anybody else? Okay, so let me just move this little mini cutter is very convenient. Can I please just say that? Okay, so let's assemble these. I'm just gonna have these flat up, you know, on the paper. So we're just gonna use our tear and tape. We're not gonna pop it up or anything. I didn't even put a sentiment on this one. I think that the laces pretty much speak for themselves. But you certainly could, or you could add a flag or whatever, the wind flag. All right, let me see. Yeah. So just, I don't know if you can notice this, but with the stitching, there is a top side and a bottom side. I don't think many people would notice if you accidentally use the bottom side, but there's a little bit more of an indentation with the stitching on the top than the bottom. If you have the Whisper White thick cardstock, those would be awesome for these. They'd be really durable. They could probably arguably hold a little bit more than the regular cardstock, but the regular cardstock's pretty thick as well. I can't say that this is the most original idea in the world, but it is so cute. I've seen this on lots of mason jars. I was like, that would be cute on a treat box or a treat bag. Okay, so there you go. We have our one treat bag here. Now the second one is going to be the referee one. And that one's a little bit more involved than this. So let me show you what I mean by that. So the referee paper, this black and white stripe paper, actually comes from the Golden Honey Specialty Designer Series paper. I actually have another video where I used that paper. And if I post this on YouTube, I'll link it in the YouTube video if you're interested in seeing even more ideas with this paper. But it's a free item if you spend $50 in the Sale-a-Bration brochure. So any $50 worth of Stampin' Up product, qualifying purchase before tax, you can get a whole pack of paper for free. This paper. And this B paper, this specific paper right here, is the back side of this one. So they're double-sided sheets, but I just saw that and was like, that would actually be really cool. And if you're doing a card, like a referee card, if you have somebody who's a ref or a coach or anything like that, like I just think it's such a cute idea. But we're going to put this on cardstock, and I'll tell you why. So the DSP, Designer Series paper, is thinner than cardstock. So the cardstock is thicker, it's more durable than this. So you could use the Designer Series paper, but because it's thinner, it has a tendency to cut through, like I was telling you that my My plates were a little too tight. There was too much pressure in the machine when I cut these. But for the designer series paper, it's so thin, it can have a tendency to cut it. So I just want to give you a heads up, like if you were thinking, well, why wouldn't I just make it out of the designer series paper? It's just a little bit thinner. So just something to keep in mind. So the only difference between this treat box and that one is that we're going to cut out these panels and we're going to glue them to the treat box. And I'm not really doing anything special. The only thing I'm doing is I'm going to, with my scissors, I'm just going to cut close to the stitching. The stitching is my guide. And then just line the stitching up with the treat bag, and that'll be it. So we're going to go ahead and cut these. It's been my go-to. Okay, so here's our little MVP, and then we're also going to put a football on here. And here's one of the footballs. And I think on the original, I just put it right here, so we'll just stick to that. Laces up. Okay. All right, there we go. So this one's in, this one's out. This one has all panels covered, and this one does not. Okay, so that just goes to show you the slight difference there. Okay, so for the Perfect Parcel treat box, I don't know if I want to do the whole thing live. I don't know from a time standpoint. I guess it doesn't really matter. I probably could do it, but let me just walk you through this one really quick. So I was kind of daydreaming about what to do with this one. So it's the same exact deal where the actual treat box is made out of the cardstock. This is Call Me Clover cardstock. This is the 2018-2020 in color cardstock, part of that collection. And then this is the same designer series paper, the Golden Honey designer series paper, thinner than the cardstock. And the piece that has this like swoopy thing on it here, this is the bottom of the box. This is what locks at the bottom, and we don't need to put that on the bottom. So we are just going to, I wonder if this would fit in the mini cutter. Let me check. Let me try. Ooh, I think it is going to fit. So the point being that you're just going to take the scored line for the bottom of the box, and you're just going to cut it right off because we don't need to have the decorative paper all over the box, just where you can see it. Okay. We're going to do the same thing. We don't need the flaps. And again, this is one of those things where it's difficult to see the line with the pattern paper, but just hang in there, you'll get it. Okay, so this is basically what you're going to see. Now what I did was I actually separated this line and put a separate panel on, but I put it on the wrong side when I originally did this. So anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is I'm actually going to cut this too, but we're going to keep this piece. So if you would want to decorate the top, but for the sake of time, maybe I'll just do the middle piece just so that you can get the idea. And I'm sure you guys already have the idea, but I promised you a box, so I shall give you one. Okay, so you can see that this little insert piece will match this. So that's where we want to do our little overlay on this box. Now, let's say you don't want to get into all this. Let's say you want to just be super simple. You're like, I don't want to layer DSP over top of cardstock. The green is fine. You could take like a chalk marker or a white pencil, or if you are a heat embosser, if you love heat embossing, get your white heat emboss, and you could just put some numbers in a line, and it could look just like a football field. I actually wanted to do that last night, but I got too tired. So this is where we ended up, but it's still, it's still cool. Okay, so I can see that my line's a little bit over here, so I'm just going to trim that down a little bit more. Yeah, so let me just do the middle panel, but you can see this lines up nicely. Okay, and I think I'm going to trim off just a little bit. I'm just eyeballing it at this point, just being fussy. I am the type of person that will get caught up in cutting forever. So we need to just move it on down the road, right? the trophy makes more sense, right? All right. Oh, and for the trophy, I don't know if I said this, I used the Wink of Stella on, it's gray granite and then the Wink of Stella. Okay. I'm going to do this one just off to the side a little bit. And then I'm just going to fussy cut my trophy. When I'm making projects, I have a really hard time doing the same exact thing twice. I'm always doing variations. I should just stick with the script. But there's just so many different things that you could do with this. Okay. Let me just see here. And I know that the Super Bowl trophy is actually like a football on a triangle type of thing. So you could just take an actual football and then the, like this thing, you could just do it in all silver and you would have the Super Bowl trophy. And if you have the Make a Difference stamp set, which has all of the individual letters on it, like the tiny letters, you could do the Roman numerals too. So that would be cool. It just goes on and on. I could go on about it all day. And this could very easily be, and you could do this on the top. You could decorate the top too if you would want to. Or you could do the numbers and the lines like the field right on the top. That would be cute. But yeah, so here we go. Let me just get my little bit of mess out of the way here. So here are the Perfect Parcel ones. Here are the pre-designed ones. And if you would rather do cards instead of treat boxes, I would just recommend cutting your card size to whatever your preference is. And this would literally just go on the front of your card, or this, and maybe add something to it. So I hope you, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you liked the wink. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to comment or give it a like, or if you're comfortable sharing it, I would greatly appreciate it. And then I'll post the replay on YouTube. Bye.